What's up guys, my name's Brian and today I'm here to talk to you guys about records. Well, specifically cleaning your records. Now if you're a vinyl enthusiast like myself, then you probably want to have the best sounding records possible. And today I'm going to talk to you about a little known process called the wood glue method. Yes, it's a little strange and slightly unorthodox to suggest that we put this stuff on our vinyl records, but trust me guys, it works. Wood glue is great because it gets into the grooves and it's gonna peel all that gunk and dust and grime that's been lodged in the grooves for a long time. It's gonna take that stuff right out, leaving only the music. As you can see from these videos, I've done over 1,000 LPs and about 2,000 of my 45s, all using this method, and I've learned a lot along the way. And so what I've done is I've actually broken it down into a step-by-step process, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. That way you guys can get a full, detailed list, some do's and don'ts, some tips and tricks, and that way you guys can be able to do these for yourself. Now I know there's a couple other tutorials out there that explain the wood glue process, but they really don't get into the details of how to do it, really what to do and what not to do. Full disclosure, wood glue will not fix scratches, okay? If you have a scratch on your record, throw it away because there's no cure for a scratch on a record. That's just, it's done. This is great for dust and grime and fingerprints and all that stuff. And in some cases, you might actually be able to bring back that original shine to your records. So the steps you're gonna wanna take for your records are in this order. First, you wanna wash your records. That's just to get some of the dust and grime off the surface. And then we'll go ahead and actually apply the glue to the record. Now, while that's drying, which usually takes about 12 to 15 hours, that's when we can go ahead and clean up the sleeves and fix the jackets. And if there's any tears along the spine, we can go ahead and repair those as well. Then once the glue is dry, we're gonna go ahead and peel it off. And then we're gonna wash the record. And that way we can be sure that we get rid of any little fragments of wood glue that might have chipped off before we stick it back in the sleeves. So it seems like a lot, but during the course of these videos, I'm gonna break it down into a step-by-step process so that way you guys can do it and do it right. So what I have here is about 50 or so LPs that we're gonna wood glue throughout the course of these videos. And as you can see, the jackets are a little worn on these two. I'm gonna show you guys how to not only clean the records, but we're also gonna fix the spines. See, they're a little torn. I'll show you that in a different video. And just to be thorough, I actually went and grabbed a bunch of 45s. These I actually found in a thrift store. You can see the edges are a little torn. Some of them aren't even the right sleeves. So we'll go ahead and wood glue these as well. It's the exact same process for 45s and LPs. So let's talk about the wood glue for just a second before we go out and actually apply it. I use the Titebond original wood glue. It takes a little bit longer to dry, but it's water soluble. So if you make a mess, which trust me guys, you will make a mess. So if you do, you just take a wet rag and just wipe it up. The material that it's made out of doesn't stick to plastic. So that's why it's great on records. So you can go ahead and apply this to the record, it'll settle in, it'll dry, but as soon as you peel it back, it's gonna take all that grime and dust and gunk and fingerprints, all that stuff's gonna come with it. And you'll see when we peel the glue back later that it's so accurate that you can actually play the wood glue, which is like a negative of your record, you can actually play that on your turntable. Not that I recommend doing that, but you can see just how precise the glue really gets into those grooves. And it's not going to harm your records. Like I said, I've done this with my entire collection, and even after a few years later, I'm listening to the same record and it sounds great. Now, if you do plan on going on a big endeavor like I did and actually wood glue all your records, I recommend going to Home Depot. You can actually get a 1-gallon jug of wood glue, and if you buy 3 of them, you actually get a 4th one free. So that's 4 gallons of wood glue, which is a lot of wood glue. And so this is an 8-ounce bottle, and it's gonna cover about 3 to 4 LPs and about 12 to 13 45s on either side. The other thing you're gonna wanna remember is to wood glue your records in a dry, well-ventilated area. But make sure it's not too cold because the glue becomes brittle, and if it's too warm, it takes a lot longer to dry. So well-ventilated, room temperature, preferably a garage, that way you can let your records sit and dry and they won't be disturbed. So that's the entire process in a nutshell. But today, this video, I'm just gonna show you guys how to pre-wash and apply the glue. So let's go ahead and we'll take our LPs and our 45s, we'll head out to the garage and we'll get started. All right, so the first step you're going to want to do is pre-wash the record. So you have your spin clean washer, your spin clean washer fluid, and a couple of brushes here and some microfiber cloths. And I use distilled water. And the reason I use distilled water is because there's no minerals in it. If you use tap water, you run the risk of getting like little contaminants and stuff in your records, so you don't want that. Make sure you put about a capful of the spin clean washer fluid, which I think is just a water softener to allow the water to get in the grooves. And yeah, you're ready to go. Let's do our first LP. And so yeah, as you can see, it's already got some dust on it, just surface dust on both sides. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just pre-wash this and just get rid of all that surface dust before we wood glue. And you'll wanna just go like 3 rotations clockwise, and that just gets the water moving across it. And then go 3 rotations counterclockwise. And again, this is just a pre-wash, so we just wanna get that dust off of there first. Go ahead and take the record out. Let the water just drip back into the tank and give it a little shake. And then what I usually do, just for good measure, is I'll take a brush. I've got one here that I've just dedicated just to wet cleaning the record. So with the water that's still on there, just go ahead and wipe down the record with it just to kind of get it in the grooves. And then the spin clean actually comes with little drying cloths. So you want to take that and just give it a quick wipe down. And these are really soft cloths, so you're not going to scratch the record at all. And it's still going to be a little wet, but what I'm going to do is put this off to the side and let it dry and do a few more of these. As you can see, just by cleaning this, you've already eliminated a lot of the surface dust as well as the fingerprints. So it's already a pretty clean record, but if you really want to get the purest sound, that's when we need to wood glue them. So finish up the rest of your records, and once that's done, then you can begin the wood glue process. All right, so now that you've pre-washed all of your records, it's time now to start the wood glue process. So what I have here is an old turntable, which the speakers don't work, but it still rotates. So that's all we really need. We just want to make sure the record spins while we apply the wood glue. I've got my wood glue here, and a little microfiber cloth just in case you spill, and the card that we're going to use to spread the glue. So let's go ahead and grab our first record, and I'll show you guys how to do this. And you want it spinning at about 45 RPM. That way you can apply the glue a bit quicker. And what I usually do is start from the center of the record and work your way out. If you start from the edge and go inward, you run the risk of it actually dripping off to the side. So start at the dead wax right here and then kind of work your way out. You want to go just a little bit beyond where the last track of the record ends. And once you get a good bead going, just slowly bring the glue towards you. And you want to be generous with it, you know? You really want to get a nice amount on there. That way when you go to spread it, it coats the record evenly. And you're not hurting the record at all by doing this. Typically, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes with an LP to apply the glue and spread it, and about a minute with 45s. If you put too little on there, it's going to be a lot harder to peel the glue off in one try. So you want to make sure you have a good amount on there. Once you get to the end here, you just want to go over a few times. Then I usually go back and forth, just get a little bit more glue on there. And that's about the right amount of glue that you want to have on that record. So now we're going to take our little credit card, and I usually kind of start at an angle here just to get it on there. And I'm just going to very lightly press it down. And then once it starts going, then I'll bring the rest of the card down and just start to drag it across. And you'll see the record will slow down a little bit just because of the friction. Now I'm not actually touching the surface of the record. I mean, I'm gently pressing down on the glue. So what we're doing now is we're just going to spread the glue, and what the glue is going to do is just get right inside those grooves, and it'll attach itself to all the dust and debris that's, you know, lodged in the grooves. Go a couple of times around the edge here, make sure you don't spill. And I usually let the record spin a few more times on the turntable to allow the glue to evenly distribute across the surface. But don't let the glue dry while it's spinning, because as it's spinning, that glue is actually moving outward, and eventually it will just start to spill over the sides, so you don't want that. So go ahead and stop the record player, and there we go. You can see it's nice and evenly coated on there. There's no spots or any air pockets or whatever. So what I usually like to do is use a red Solo cup, because the diameter of the cup is actually the same width as the label. And so that will allow you to set the record on there. And if you plan on doing the other side, you can let this dry. It usually takes about 5 or 6 hours before it's dry to the touch. And you can flip it over, put it back on the turntable, and do the other side. That way, both sides will have a chance to dry at the same time. Go set it off to the side where it won't be disturbed, and let's do the next one. All right, so now that we've wood glued all 50 LPs, we're gonna let them dry. And in the video later, I'm gonna show you guys how to peel the glue off and wash the record so it's ready to go back in the sleeve. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned a few tips and tricks on how to properly wood glue your records. I'm Brian, and I'll see you guys later.